who we've yet to see on the floor this season. Last week, Shaq called Simmons a crybaby. Said he didn't respect him. Got an update on the situation from Shaq yesterday. Take a listen.
So wait, Ben Simmons DM'd you after he heard what you said last week?
Yeah. All I said is you leaving your man out there, you need to play. That's all I said.
Okay.
And he said some things, but I'm not going to elaborate what he said because that's not cool. He was mad.
Mad at you?
Yeah, he's probably mad because I'm his LSU brother, and I am.
Drama classes are on Saturdays, gentlemen. Broussard, what do you make of this beef?
Look, I'm down with LSU, too. You guys know my roots are in Louisiana. There's a town named Broussard.
Cincinnati, and
restaurants in the
Cleveland,
French Quarter named Broussard. Yeah, but that's the roots. The roots are in Louisiana. Plus, I'm light-skinned like Ben, too, all right? But still, I'm with Shaq on this. Ben is being a crap. How can anybody respect what Ben Simmons is doing? I cannot respect it. Because your coach said I don't know if we can win with him. Do you know if my daughters came home and said their field hockey coach had said in high school, my coach said they don't know if they can win with me. You know what I would say? Well, get out there and prove your coach wrong. You don't come to me crying. And this is a problem, all right? I'm totally with Shaq. Ben Simmons has become the poster child for entitled millennials or entitled Gen Zers, whatever he is.
Oh, my God.
This is ridiculous. And if I'm another team, I am questioning what would I get if I trade for Ben Simmons. He's a great talent. I loved him at LSU. I think his game was spectacular there. But now I got to wonder, what am I getting with Ben Simmons? If I trade for him, does he love the game? He's really willing to sit out an entire season at age 25 when you are on one of the best teams in the league and legitimately have a chance to get to the finals. You're willing to sit that out because the coach said something you don't like? A coach who defended you all year long actually embarrassed himself sometimes in defending Ben Simmons. I'm with Shaq 110%. I also would wonder if I'm another team, is he over this mental block? I haven't seen him play since he refused to take a layup. All right? What's to tell me that mental block will just vanish once he leaves Philadelphia? So this is a problem. Ben's got to just man up, man. When I start playing Pee Wee football wilds, all the older boys in the neighborhood said, man, you got to be tough. Coach is going to yell at you. You got to man up. I was 8 years old. You're 25, man. Come on. Shaq is right. He shouldn't apologize at all.
Were you in Cincinnati there or Cleveland or New Orleans? When you're 8 years old, you got to play like the hometown Bengals,
the first
correct?
part of the
Someday
season,
Joe Burrow's
New
going to carry them
Orleans.
to the...
That was
Indianapolis, the Pee Wee season was in
I lived there too.
Cincinnati.
A new city every day.
Cleveland.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
Depends who's hot.
Yeah.
Depends who's hot. All right. I had a different take on this. I thought that it was interesting, and Shaq addressed it again last night on Inside the NBA. Shaq said he was going to lay off of him. And I thought the biggest takeaway was I liked that Ben pushed back. And they had a conversation that Shaq didn't want to talk about. But Shaq said, I'm going to lay off of him. And Nick, that's what I think is the key to unlocking this stalemate between Ben, the Sixers, and what we think is the city of Philadelphia. Just honesty and a public conversation like, hey, here's how I'm feeling. And I know Philadelphia has been painted as this mean city, this sort of emotionless city, an unsympathetic city. I don't buy it. I think if Ben came out and honestly said whatever he's told to Shaq, where Shaq said, okay, I respect that, I won't speak on it anymore, I think the city of Philadelphia would come close to embracing Ben again. It's hard to do, and man. A lot of the fears that he has are built up a little bit too much. I think that is true. The city supported him. It's not like he all of a sudden got bad at shooting or all of a sudden got bad at free throws. He's been bad, and they always cheered him.
But no, that's fair. So I have 2 points here. One about Ben and then the other about Shaq's podcast. The point about Ben is this. And listen, Ben's folks might get mad at me for saying this, but this is actually a defense of him. The idea that this is about Doc Rivers saying something, mean about him in the moment after the worst loss of the season, their season-ending loss, is utter and complete nonsense. That is being used, and by the way, if that were the reason you weren't playing, then I would fully agree with Shaq. But that is not why Ben isn't playing. That is being used as a justification for something that I think Ben maybe finds more embarrassing, but he should not be embarrassed about it. It is absolutely, the root cause here is a fear of failure, a fear of embarrassment, and a fear of being publicly vulnerable, which, by the way, every human being I've ever met deals with to varying degrees. So that is where I think you could get people more on your side, is if it's like, hey, nobody likes being embarrassed. For me, it's crippling. For me, this is where I believe Ben about the psychology being a big part of this. There is an element of, I've used this example before, I will use it again, it's an awkward one, but I had my shoulder reconstructed at the end of high school. And they told me, to rehab it, you need to do, these types of exercises, these types of weight exercises. Go to a gym and do it. But because I just had my shoulder reconstructed, I literally could only lift 3 pounds. So I just didn't do it. It was too mortifying. I go to the gym, the weights I need to use are literally pink and soft and fuzzy. I'm not doing it. And to this day, I don't have full mobility in my arm. I was I won't do it.
That was actually a good call.
So I think there is an element of, I do all these things well. The thing I don't do well, you want me to do on a public stage, shoot the basketball. I won't do it. And so I'm not saying it's an excuse, Brew. He's a pro athlete. They pay him a bunch of money. It's his job. I understand all of that. But I think that is far more understandable than Doc and Embiid hurt my feelings. That's the point I would make. And then lastly, can I just give a shout out to Nichelle Turner?
Because it's easier because you can blame someone else. Sorry.
Absolutely, Jenna. Nichelle Turner, the woman on Shaq's podcast. There's a million podcasts now. Athletes have all this access in the world. And the problem with almost all of them is you get AB on and he's like, I'm the best player on the team. Everyone wants me. Hey, what do you... And all the hosts are like, yeah, AB, you're right. Good call, buddy. What else do you want to tell us? Nichelle Turner is working on Shaq's podcast and grilled him. She's like, what did he say? Give us more. Come on, Shaquille O'Neal. And great she's call. His colleague.
Great call.
She did a great job there pulling as much as she could have. A lot of folks in the podcast business could learn from her. Good job, Nichelle Turner.
Unbelievable.
First football I've enjoyed in 5 days, Jenna. Thank you, Max.
Lakers Clippers is where we start. No LeBron in this one. Final 15 seconds. Russ finds AD for the alley-oop. Lakers take a 1-point lead. Under 10 seconds left now. Can they get a stop? Are Nick and I going to work out together one day? There's your answer. Reggie Jackson splitting Austin Reeves and Russ lays it in. Clippers retake the lead. One final chance. AD, Anthony Davis, brings it up the floor, gets a great look. That ball touches every part of the rim. No net. AD would later say he watched that play 7 times before going out and speaking with reporters. Lakers have now dropped 4 of their last 5 overall, and 5 straight, by the way, to the Clippers. Sorry, Anthony Davis, even though you've been playing well lately. Nick, how discouraged should Lakers fans be?
Oh, I don't think they should be discouraged. The very first Lakers game of the season, we came on the air the next day, and I said there's a lot about this team that really concerns me. Didn't like the rotations it looked like Vogel was going to use, was obviously, as we all were, unsure about Russ's fit. And AD, the first, really up until his injury, didn't look anything like the AD that helped the Lakers win a championship a couple years ago. The reason I feel better today than I did then, and the reason I don't think Lakers fans should be discouraged, is because they have 3 objectives from now until the end of the year. The first objective, Broussard, is get to the 8th seed or better, Why does that matter? Because if you're the 7 or the 8 and you win the first play-in game, you will avoid Phoenix. I think avoiding Phoenix early in the playoffs is critical. I think the Lakers' chances of upsetting Golden State, a fully healthy Lakers team, are actually quite high, as opposed to the Suns that have a 9-man roster that might be the best in basketball. So that's goal 1. Goal 2 is figure out your 8-man rotation. You know who the top 5 are: LeBron, AD, Russ, Monk, and Melo. Melo got dinged yesterday, so we'll see how long he's going to be out. And then figure out the back end of that. I think they are in the process of it. But the final one and the most important one is this. Get Anthony Davis back to being Anthony bleeping Davis. Get Anthony Davis back to a place where if he showed up on my pyramid outside of the top 4 rows, outside of the top 10, that it would be an insult, that it would be an outrage. Get Anthony Davis playing to a level that when they announced the All-Stars yesterday and he's left out, it's like, well, that's ludicrous. Don't care how many games he's missed. He's one of the best players in basketball. And Anthony Davis, since his return, if we throw out the very first game where he played limited minutes, he's given you 30 and 12 with great defense.
Right.
That is what the Lakers have to have. The Lakers' path through is very simple. You look at the Western Conference. Do they have the best player? I think they do in LeBron. Could they have, in the whole conference, also the 4th best player? Maybe.